Hi, this is Lakhi Singh, the Property Fixer, here to fix you and help you grow your property and your business affairs to the next level. So if you're looking for knowledge and insights about how to get involved in property, solve your problems about scalability in your property business, then do watch our 20-minute clips. We've taken them from hundreds and thousands of videos that we've taken over the last 6 months, and we've broken them into simple chunks which can make them useful for you. So do watch and do subscribe to our YouTube channel underneath as well.
Good now. So that's a very good one. So carry on, Linda. Sorry.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Tesco's coped during the pandemic and of course the retail landscape with Aldi and people like that coming on board has changed the landscape. It'll be interesting to hear his views on the recent takeover of Asda by the two brothers from the north. Also, as chairman, what does he look for when he takes on probably the biggest job in retailing? In other words, when he employs a chief exec, what does he look for in a chief exec? As he's chairman of both Barratt's Housing, the big construction company, and chairman of Tesco's, what does he look for in a non-exec when he takes a non-exec on? And how does he handle the vagaries of the stock market, share prices up and down? How does he communicate?
Actually, do you know the housing market is obviously going to be impacted? Obviously, we talk a lot about property.
Yeah.
And with Barratt Homes, if he's the chairman of that, that'll be quite an interesting conversation, really, because I think because they're in the top end of the market, they're going to. My guess is they've got a lot of capital reserves. So they've got a lot of land banking behind them. So they've probably pre-planned and actually put all their contingencies in. So I don't see them really having any problems. So I don't think he'll ever be out of a job in that sense. But I think a lot of developers are now struggling actually to raise finance. So because they are probably mid-tier and they've only done maybe 2-3 developments, but they're not probably at the level of actually having deeper pockets or deeper ability to get access to funds. And I think if prices are dropping, a lot of developers are getting stuck on developments they're not going to sell, especially if they're high-end housing above $500,000, because anything that's below the $500,000, there's a bubble there, and that bubble means that developers are artificially selling properties now because the stamp duty break. But I just wanted to sort of cut in and just say that bit. But tell us a bit more about any other key people. So we're happy for you to name drop and tell us like whether you met Sir Richard Branson or, you know, viewers probably want to know really who you were moving, shaking with. Boris Johnson come round and for a cup of tea.
Not yet, but we've got the editor of the Sunday Times business. So he's written what a week looks like, a week in the editor. And it's an amazing week. And I don't think he sleeps. Honestly, I just don't think he sleeps. Because obviously he's understanding the world markets as the news breaks in time zones. So that's a really interesting read. We've got an article by a headmistress who took on a failing school. Just imagine a school that's brand, in other words, its name changed 3 times in 3 years. The kids had to buy a new uniform every year because the name kept changing. Imagine 65% of your workforce are what we call supply teachers, contractors, because nobody wants to work there. Could you imagine taking on a failing business, or in her case, a failing school, threatened with shutdown, and how in 5 years she turned it into an outstanding school and was given an OB in the Queen's birthday list? And she'll explain the leadership techniques she used to turn around, in every sense of the word, a failing business.
Can I ask you a quick question? Do you find that your success in business and in general is due to, would you say, 80% due to your own abilities and your knowledge, or is it? Would you say it's 80% down to you having people around you that are working in a very quality way over the last 10 years or so, so that you upped your game because you're hanging out with the movers and shakers. Which way around do you think it is, Linda? It's just a curiosity. I thought I'd ask that question.
Yeah, I think without a shadow of doubt, it's the people I hang around with. It's the quality of people who are much better than me, who I can learn from. We've spoken about this before. The people that are around you will determine your success. So if you surround yourself with negative people, I don't care how good you are, you will become negative. If you surround yourself with people who have got such a positive outlook, they'll drag you up. If you hang around with people who are better than you, they'll connect you to people better than them. And it's a bit like playing on a tennis court. If I want to win every game, I'll just play against my 10-year-old son or my 12-year-old daughter. I may feel very good about that, but it's not going to get me very far. I'd rather be playing a Boris Becker every week. He thrashes the hell out of me, but you know something? Every week I get better because he's forced my game up. And what I've discovered is the more you play with positive people, the more positive people get attracted to you because they know you play with positive people. So I think it's a virtuous circle. And I think it's just once you're on that rung, then your job is to remain focused, remain committed, and make sure you don't aberrate from your plan and make sure that you stay positive. Because listen, there are going to be times when things are negative, there are going to be challenging times. And it's those people around you that you can refer to. But there's some outstanding individuals out there.
So when you initially started, I'm finding this a little bit now, especially I'm sort of a bit funny in the sense that I always think that everybody knows a lot more than I do. And I always think of myself like a 21-year-old in a bit of like a sweet shop, and that everybody around me, when I meet them, I mean, the type of people I'm meeting in Mayfair, it's a bit daunting sometimes because pretty much everybody that I meet has got some sort of hedge fund, or they're director of Schroders, or Blackstar or BlackRock, hedge fund that's got 500 million under management. So when I meet with them, I'm a property consultant, property investor. They're talking billions of pounds. In fact, I've got a conference call with the director of a company that's actually got £2 billion to invest into England on Wednesday next week, and they want me to talk to them about what we can do, how we can work together, because they want to buy distressed assets.
Yeah.
Now, how did you sort of bring yourself up to speed to be sort of integrating with that type of communication? Because funny enough, I'm finding it in a weird way. I'm finding it quite easy because I just say very little, and I'm very honest about what I don't know. What I do know is my simple way of dealing with it. But I think those sort of people, if you're quite honest with them and quite genuine, I think that's a simple way of winning them over, is in my way of doing business, and just honest about your capability. But it'd be interesting to know really what your angle is, but that's my very simple way of dealing with it. I actually profess to know even less than I know, because and then I try to absorb everything, and when I meet the next big hedge fund, I've understood a lot more. But it's a huge learning curve, actually. This is my second year at Mayfair, but I'm finding it even more daunting now, because you've got to know your stuff now by the first year about hedge funds and IPOs and discretionary funds and all mutual funds, all these new bits of terminology that I'm coming across. And I'm very, very curious, actually, so I want to know everything about everything. So tell me what your take is about 10 years ago, when you started sort of rubbing shoulders with more senior business influencers, because you've got a bit of a name for yourself in the events industry. How did you find it?
I think a couple of things. Firstly, I think you made a very good point. Firstly, you've got to be open to learning. you've got to learn as much as you can and continue to learn. That could be through various things. One is just keep up to date with the current news, so at least when somebody says something, you understand what they're saying. Learning by reading books, learning by hanging around with people who know more than you, so you can absorb all their knowledge. At the same time, I think you've got to be honest about what you do know and what you don't know. And I agree with you, Lakhi, because if you try and purport to know something you don't know, you will get found out. Once you are found out, they will discard you forever because they'll say this guy was not genuine. So I think you have to be genuine in what you know and what you don't know. And if you don't know something, simply say, I don't know, but I can find out for you, or I can connect you with somebody who I think could help you better. Now, they'll remember that, but they'll also remember the bits that you do remember. They'll come back to you on the bits that you can do. So I think transparency is key. So learn from others, learn yourself, do as much learning as you possibly can, because you can never stop that journey of learning. Be as transparent as you can, and seek out those people that you want to connect with. And you know, over time, if you do things properly, your brand will supersede you. So you should be able to walk into a meeting, and with today's technology, they'll know all about you. They will know all about you. And if they're good at their job, they'll have spoken to a few people to talk about you. So they'll follow it up, because you can Google people's names and you can find out all about them now. And then just follow it up with some research. But yeah, be as transparent as possible and mix with as many good people as you can.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to do is we're halfway into the show now, and I actually want to be almost like a bit more theoretical for the viewers now. Today's half an hour session. What we're going to try and do is slightly different format. I want to literally give you 10 strategies of when you're in business. I think already Ninda's given us a lot of valuable knowledge, but I'm going to make it quite systematic today. But before I do that, I wanted to say shout out to all the people saying hi, and I have to apologize because I can't see all the messages today. Been a bit caught off guard actually being the host. So I do have Deborah and Cameron, John Smith, Mina, I think there's Sonia there as well. There's quite a few messages coming in, but I've got nobody with me to check all my messages for me. So shout out to everybody who's saying hello, and if you do have any questions, put them in on Monday's show. But I'm going to literally get 10 critical strategies that will make you a millionaire in the next year in a recession. Now, the reason I'm asking that of Linda Singh is he's a lot broader in industry sectors than I am, because I'm primarily property and PR type work and digital marketing I'm getting involved in. But his expertise is across events and meeting business leaders. And with his publication, The Business Influencer, he got his finger on the pulse now about where the money's at. Pa-ching ching. So that pa-ching ching and that knowledge could be the difference between you sitting at home twiddling your thumbs, waiting to work out what's going to happen after furlough, or the difference between thinking ahead and changing your mindset, start increasing your energy, and then creating a new vibration, as Deborah, Sophia, Magdalene would say, creating new vibration in business. So, Ninda, perhaps you'd be so kind as to sort of maybe give us, in a very systematic format, about 10 key things that you think are the key ingredients in this market, a pandemic market, a recessionary market, with a lot of variables that are unknown at the moment in terms of what's going to happen. So what are the sort of basic things, first 5 basic things you should think people that either got a business or a new business? We've touched upon this before. I want to just consolidate all that knowledge and experience we've had of listening to you over the last few weeks.
Okay, so I'm going to make an assumption that people are running a business. So I'm going to make that assumption. I'm going to make the assumption that I don't know what sector they're in, but we can look at it principally. Just to give you an idea, you were saying background-wise. So from a property perspective, I sit on Accord Housing, which is a £1.2 billion property business. So I'm a non-exec board director there. I'm also
Fantastic.
I'm also a board director at WM5G. So this is looking at the rollout of the next technology, which is 5G, and how that will change UK PLC and the world. I also sit on the West Midlands India Partnership. So we're exploring a post-COVID, post-Brexit, where should you be looking to export? And India will be one of those territories that we're exploring. I sit on something called the Black Country Enterprise Partnership. So that's a partnership between private and public sector. And so over 1.2 million people, we decide where to spend money, whether it's on infrastructure, whether it's on skilling, whether it's on making sure people are into employment, making sure the roads, making sure the digital works, and just making sure the place works, and how we can help those various sectors. So that takes a much more macroeconomic approach. So those are just some of the sort of, and of course I'm the chairman of the Wolverhampton Towns Fund. That's £50 million we've approached the government to help us regenerate and build on the good work that the city of Wolverhampton has already done. So that gives you an idea of the sort of spread. And I used to be previously president of the Chamber of Commerce, so I know how all these things work. So I have over the years met people who have just started a business. I have met people who are thinking of starting a business. I have met people who've been only in business for a year. I've met people who have been running family businesses for generations, and also have the opportunity through this to meet people like the chair of Tesco's and Barrett's and Sunday Times. So I do meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds. And of course, my own background, starting in music, then moving into events, and now moving into publishing, means I have a good widespread. But what I also found, now we'll come to your 10 things, what I also found is, irrespective what market you're in, irrespective where you are on the business cycle in terms of your business, startup or growing or matured, doesn't matter where you are based geographically, it doesn't matter who's running it, in terms of the ethnicity, the issues remain the same for all businesses. So here we go. So I think the first thing every business should know, irrespective where you are, irrespective of the business cycle, is, do you know your numbers? Do you understand what your numbers are telling you? Do your numbers tell you where you've come from? Do your numbers tell you where you are now? And do you have the numbers to understand where you're going to be in the next 3 years? That's your first focal point. So I'll speak to someone.
I think I heard a quote somewhere. I can't really think of the quote exactly, but I think the quote was something along the lines of, life and business is all about the numbers, or something like that.
Okay.
So I just thought, actually, if you think about it, if your numbers are right with everything, then everything sort of works out. So I think that's a very good one to start off with.
Yeah. So example, a friend of mine rang me. He runs an events company. He's in trouble, obviously. And he said, I want to go and raise some finance to keep me sustainable. And by the way, I said, and you know what my first question was? Can I look at your numbers? And he sent me his draft accounts for the year just finished. I said, that's fine, but that's not enough. That's just telling me where you've come from. I need to know where you're going. What do your numbers look like going for the next 3 years. I need you to do me a detailed cash flow